I talk, you listen, or you turn the channel. Either way, I'm still going to talk. Welcome to Unfiltered. I was just boring the crew with some useless information. You'll get your turn later. This week, I want to start off with some sad news. George Carlin has passed. 71 years old. A hero to a lot of young comedians. And probably a mentor. I've stolen tons of his stuff. Never taken credit for it myself, but you know, he had a lot of those jokes that you could use in normal conversation just to freak people out and get away with it. And but he's going to be sadly missed. But he joins his wife, who passed a few years ago, so they're reunited, and you know, probably great things are happening.
Do you have a favorite George Carlin one-liner?
No, I think the real early hippy-dippy weatherman was always my favorite. Tonight's forecast, dark, followed by some fairly scattered light in the morning. You know, that was always one of the best. But he was a comedian that worked hard at being a comedian, and he actually spent most of his life studying the English language and studying quirky little things and wondering why people do things and asking. You know, I think he was actually the one, I think, that asked, why is there a sign on the post office that says no dogs allowed except seeing eye dogs? You know, because what blind person is going to see that and go, okay, it's okay to bring my dog in? You know, and how many dogs know how to read? So, I mean, he used to come up with all kinds of little stuff like that. When somebody says, get on the plane, he said, I'm not getting on the plane. I'd rather get in the plane. You know, just, and of course, there's 7 words that we can't say here. But one of them, I think, is the most used word in the English language, right? Yeah, that's right. So, but we can't say them here, other than, you know, I'll make a mention of them, but I can't say them due to copyright infringement stuff. You can't say them on the air. All right. So that's the sad news. Yesterday, actually it was Wednesday, just when I thought it was safe to enjoy the beauty of downtown, the damn political signs seem to have grown up in the median and in the Marlborough Street roundabout again. Disgusting. I've actually thought, you know, if they can do that, why can't I just go out and plant big crosses and signs that say, love Jesus? You know? I mean, I won't push religion on you. Don't push politics on me. I don't need to see it, be constantly barraged by the signs, be worried about all the plastic and pollution that they're creating, making the signs, and then what's going to happen to them after they're done. I don't want to worry about all that. Get rid of the signs. Spend the money you spent on signs on a little radio ad or something, you know. Radio, was that old slogan, something about radio gets results? Yes. That's what it was, radio gets results.
Why can't we all just get along? Why you got to protest?
So I've been in a protesting mood, Bruce. I've watched the Woodstock movie so far like 8 times, from beginning to end. There are spots I weep. Yeah, it's very touching, and it's with a guy like me who's not afraid to use his imagination. I can put myself there by watching the scenes and listening to the people. I can actually feel what it's like to be there. And the Woodstock movie gives you that feeling. It was Academy Award winning Best Documentary of 1970. Martin Scorsese was an assistant director. And it was a film by a man, I believe his name was Bruce Wadley. So, fantastic. And I'm not sure if it was the first movie that used split screen and multiple images on the screen, but there are spots in the movie where it's split or triple images on the screen. Great soundtrack. I've got some clips I'm going to use in next week is the first episode of the Woodstock special. And I will cover some of the major events of the 60s that led up to Woodstock, my impressions of the Woodstock Museum and movie. There'll be a ton of clips. I'm going to work Andrea's little fingers to the bone next week, pulling up clips. But, we'll get into the whole idealism, the issues that they were facing back then, which you'd be surprised to find out are the exact same issues we're facing today. From civil rights to a war to, not global warming back then. It was, I can't remember what they call it, the ecology movement, I believe, started around that time, either the late 60s or the early 70s, where everybody was, worried about the earth. And all the powers to be in the suits and everything paid no attention because it was just a bunch of hippies, and what did they know? Apparently they knew quite a bit more than the guys in the suits at that time. And it was all, and a lot of people, when you say Woodstock, people think sex, drugs, and rock and roll. But the overall concept of the entire thing, whether they knew it or not, it boiled right down to freedom. And it was the freedom for those kids to do what they wanted and be who they were. Bruce left his phone on again, didn't he? Thanks, Bruce. It was a pretty good show. Look, and now somebody's already calling in. All right. But anyway, yeah, back then, it was just like it is today. There were huge political races. And actually, I believe 68 was a Democratic National Convention, which spawned riots and all kinds of stuff. So possibly the political scene has settled down a little in the 39 years since 1969. As a matter of fact, today in Unity, New Hampshire, was Barack Obama and Hillary Clinton sharing the bill, I believe. Yeah. And that's going to be tough. That's like the Rolling Stones agreeing to let The Who play with them, at the same time. Maybe. The Who. Yeah. Another old 60s band, you probably. Or like the Stones and Zeppelin on stage at the same time. Nobody in their right mind would do that. It's a loser all the way around. But Hillary and Barack Obama are up there in Unity. You would have thought that they could, of all the places, well, I guess that's probably good, the only town in New Hampshire with a cool name that suggests togetherness. I don't know. There's no, love New Hampshire. There's no, peace New Hampshire. There's nothing like that. But when I first heard it was Unity, I talked to Randy today, actually, because I had to find out who was on No Spin after us. So I was saying, why are they in Unity? Are those 8 people in Unity that big of a swing vote that it's going to go either way? But Randy filled me in that they chose the town because of the name, Unity. And I think they're going to start pushing the whole double ticket thing or whatever, co-presidents or however they're going to title it. Probably won't be president and vice president. They'll probably come up with some other word for it.
It's like a timeshare thing, right?
Yeah, it could be like a timeshare. You do a year and I'll do a year, and you do a year and I'll do a year. And if anybody else wants to come in and they pay us $100,000, we'll let them sit in for a couple days on a weekend that we're not going to be there. But he also told me another one of the main reasons for unity was the fact that in the primaries, it was a dead heat. Obama, Clinton, 4-4, I guess. But so they're up there. They did the whole big thing today, a whole rally and stuff. And I believe Nick went up and filmed it. So, so anyway, let's get back. I've kind of went off on a tangent here. The political signs. Enough is enough. Right? I mean, they're going to be growing all over town, especially downtown. There's an ordinance downtown that says they're not supposed to be in the roundabout or on those medians downtown. They're distracting. They're almost as distracting as people walking across the street whenever they feel like it. Actually, they are more distracting than people. Another thing that's been a little distracting. Actually, I just looked at the clock, Bruce, and we should go to crew call. So I'll go to camera one and announce crew call. Gotcha. No, all right, I'll do this story first. The rickshaws in town. Started with 1, and then you saw 2, and now there are 7. Randy and Dave were talking about it last week on No Spin. Because according to the city, they believe that these things should carry a taxi license or a taxi permit. Well, what I was told by one of the, I guess the guy that actually put up the money for all these things, and they bought them out of Key West, is that they're not a business. Those rickshaw rides are actually free. They do it by donation or tips. So do you have to make them get permits for that? I mean, granted, we've got to come up with some kind of regulation, because some of these cats are actually fairly reckless. But it's a fantastic idea to get people around the downtown area. But the city has to they're going to have to research this and look at other cities and towns where these things are used. And I don't know where that is. Apparently, maybe Key West. Or, you know, I mean, there have to be cities where these things are in use as a public transportation. And, I mean, other than going all the way to Japan or China, there has to be some kind of a regulation. Maybe some kind of a training course for the driver, a safe bicycle course or something. Because I have heard that some of them have nearly caused accidents.
I like the idea. It's pretty novel. But since we don't have a dedicated bike lane down Main Street, they are kind of a hazard because they are wider than your average bicycle.
Well, right, but
People are forced to go around them.
As a motorist, you have to just be patient until you get a chance to go around them, yeah.
It's my road, and I'm a hell of a lot bigger
No,
than they are.
it's their road too, because they're bicycles. And technically, you're supposed to treat a bicycle just like a car. So, but yes, they are supposed to also follow the rules of the road.
How many of them do you see stopping at stop signs and crossing a crosswalk?
Not many. Not many. But if you notice, anybody that's riding a road bike, like these guys in the Tour de France ride, and they're usually dressed in the bicycle outfits, and there are clubs around town, Heart of New England Bicycling Club. These guys, you won't see them riding without a helmet, and you won't see them breaking the motor vehicle laws. They do stop at stop signs and signal for turns, because a lot of them are in the sport so avidly that they treat it professionally. And that's the way a professional bicycle rider rides. Lance Armstrong stops at every stop sign and doesn't even sit on his bike without wearing a helmet. So, well, on the racetrack, there's no stop signs, Bruce. So anyway, but that's a deal with the rickshaws. I hope the city of Keene actually researches and finds out what the regulations around the country are and comes up with a good set of regulations for this. Because I'd hate to see them be driven out of Keene, because they are great if you're going from one end of Main Street to the other end of Main Street, or if you're going from the bar down to the college at the end of the night.
Rick, I want to know one thing. While we sit and advocate to our children to wear helmets on bicycles all the time, what are they going to do about that? Are they going to just kind of throw caution to the wind and they ride without a helmet and their passengers ride without a helmet? How's that going to work? That's something they have to think about too.
Well, yeah. Yeah, I mean, you can't expect a passenger to throw on a helmet. You know? I mean, technically, if you're in a horse and buggy, you know, you should probably have a helmet on, because if you fall out and hit the road, it's going to hurt. I mean, that kind of stuff is common sense. But, you know, if it's safe, you should be able to get on one of those things and ride across town without a helmet in the back seat. The driver should maybe have a helmet. But then you cannot really advocate any kind of helmets for anything if New Hampshire won't tell motorcyclists they have to wear helmets. Because as big of a common sense thing as it is, there are still way too many people that don't wear helmets. And I didn't pay attention this year, so I'm not sure if we had any motorcycle fatalities during Bike Week. But I think Bike Week wrapped up last weekend. And now NASCAR weekend in New Hampshire is this weekend. But anyway, speaking of that, let's get through crew call. On camera one, we've got a nice addition tonight. We've got Jim Bemis helping out on cameras because Rob had some things to do. So Jim was kind enough to come down and lend his time and expertise. And I got to tell you, Jim is one of the people at Cheshire TV that works his butt off. And he will volunteer for any event, a singing event, a school board. He doesn't care. He can sleep almost anywhere. I said that just because of the school board thing, you know. I've ran a camera at school board, and it's hard to keep yourself standing upright. On camera three, we got Greg. I forgot which cameras we numbered. As usual, Greg's looking forward to next week's Woodstock episode, I'm sure. He's going to bring in some tie-dye we're going to use for a set. And, yeah, it'll be very cool. Just like the old days, Greg. Maybe. In the booth, it's Bruce and Andrea.
How's it going out there tonight, Rick?
I'm doing good, Bruce.
Having fun so far?
Well, yeah. Seeing as how I got to set up at the normal time today, because I thought it was going to be a late, rushed setup, because Chris and Randy were supposed to have Gene Shaheen on.
Right.
And they were going to film on Thursday afternoon. So I told Lee, sure, I'll just, wait till they're done and then set up. But I got the call yesterday that she had canceled, because apparently Chris and Randy are just slightly less important than Michelle Obama. Yeah. So, Randy's told me, though, that Gene Shaheen will be on No Spin at some point in July. Next month, she's going to make an appointment. And they're trying to get Tom Eaton on, and it's the political season again, Bruce. The Senate races are starting again. I'm tired of it.
Damn it.
I'm tired of it.
We get to deal with all the commercials again. Oh, joy.
Yeah.
But,
Yeah.
It's been a pretty decent week. it's been a little soggy here lately. Wednesday was the only decent day we had, and that was the day Andrea and I chose to go out and test drive a potential new vehicle. We've been out
Very nice.
out in the world looking here lately, thinking about getting rid of the big old gas guzzler we're driving and want to get something a little bit more economical. But we went out yesterday and committed to a sizable chunk of money to buy a new Hyundai Sonata.
Oh yeah, and that's only the chunk of money they showed you. That's not the chunk of money they're going to hit you with
Well, that's true.
every month
That's true.
in that extra column over there.
Right, the percentage rate's going to add up over a period of time, but
Yeah.
we'll get through that as well. It's something we can live with, so we wanted to get a nice car. It's been a while since Andrea had a new car, and it's been a couple of years since I put my butt in one myself. So figured
Yeah.
we'd treat ourselves and do something nice. So we got a rather nice one. So by the
Very
time this
cool.
show airs, we'll be driving it.
Nice.
So, but we're looking forward to that.
Yeah.
And other than that, things are going well.
Cool.
Can't complain too much.
Excellent.
Get out the life preservers here because it looks like it's going to be a wet weekend as well.
Yeah, no, that's fine. We need it, brother.
Why?
We
I got to
definitely
mow
need
my
it.
lawn, and I don't want to do it when it's wet.
You can't mow your lawn when it's wet.
No.
So
I don't want to
let
get
it
a
keep
nasty
raining.
gram from the park neither.
Let it keep raining. I know we're on the verge. We're on the verge because we got green stuff on our skirting. So mom's been all freaking out scrubbing that for the past week.
Yeah, the high
So-
temperatures and humidity have a tendency to grow green stuff on the side of things.
Yeah, well, you know, if they cut down some of those trees around us, then the house wouldn't be so damp all the
There'd
time
be
down
less
that back
oxygen in
end.
the air, though, so we need the trees. Got to
Yeah.
keep the trees.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, the weather for the weekend doesn't look good, so next week's report might be a little shorter. But we had a good race this week.
No,
so
well, next week, Andrea's got the next 2 weeks off for the up-to-date NASCAR. Because
well,
we're in the
we still,
60s.
you know, want to keep the race fans abreast of the current.
Well, I don't know
news.
how well that's going to work out. We're going to stay sick. I was hoping she's going to have some highlights from the 60s for next week.
I hope so. I'm looking.
So, yeah. And then the following week, I'm not even going to talk. The following week is dedicated strictly to my guests because I'm sure that their tales will easily fill the hour. And I want to get as much of that information out as possible. So, but anyway, yeah. This week's race, though, was kind of crappy.
Well,
Yeah, I saw who won.
yeah, the little skunk one. I swear, I know he could drive a wheelbarrow, but he just makes me peevish.
Kyle Busch, he's an up-and-comer, though.
Oh, I know he's an up-and-comer, but I wish somebody would kick him right in the butt. He's just a pain. He's a pain in my butt. Yeah, the race results, unfortunately, this was at Sonoma, and actually it was really not a bad race. There was a lot more action to it than I thought there was going to be, but he wants me to come closer. I can't get any closer before I climb into it. Anyways, there was more action than I thought. We had a couple of guys that they kind of annoyed some of the what they call veterans. Marcus Ambrose normally drives in the Nationwide Series, and he was actually driving the Wood Brothers number 21 this week. And Marcus is a really good road course racer, and he kind of tickled Montoya's fancy at one point and spun him out, but Montoya was actually able to come back with a good finish. He came back and finished sixth, so that really wasn't bad. But the overall race, the results of that were Kyle Busch, the little skunk, won it again. David Gilliland, he's usually I don't know, usually he's in the wrong place at the wrong time, but somehow he finished second this week. It was his best finish ever in a cup. So it was very impressive. He did an excellent job. Jeff Gordon finished third. Clint Boyer came up, finished fourth. And then Casey Mears had a good finish in fifth. So it brought the standings around a little bit, but not a whole lot. Kyle Busch, Jeff Burton, and Dale Jr. stayed in the first three spots just like they had been. Then there was Carl Edwards, Jimmy Johnson, Jeff Gordon, Greg Biffle. Denny Hamlin's down there a little bit further on down, but he's not doing real bad. Casey Kane. Clint Boyer actually came up from 12th. He came up 2 spots. Tony Stewart is in 11th, and Matt Kenseth actually jumped into the chase finish. He's in 12th now, but he's only in 12th by, I think they said 3 points, so not a whole lot. But anyways, like I said, Gilliland, it was his best Cup finish, and Marcus Ambrose, he's from Tasmania, and he is the most upbeat driver I have ever seen. He had a wonderful finish in, or looked like he was going to have a great finish in the 21 Wood Brothers, and lo and behold, his doggone motor broke. He ended up getting spun accidentally by Elliott Sadler, and when it did, he was right in the middle of shifting at the same time, and it broke his gears. It also looks like Eric Almirola, who is a part-time driver for DEI, the rumor has it that he's going to end up with a full-time ride in the number 8 next year. And I don't know what they're going to do with Mark Martin. They want him full-time, but he's saying no. And again, another rumor states that he may possibly drive with the Hendrick and Dale Jr. organization in the Nationwide Series in the number 5 car, which he would be doing part-time. And like Bruce said, we're going to be here at Loudon this week, but I don't know about you, but they may have to fit pontoons on these darn cars if they're going to run them, because it's been raining. There's projected rain for the weekend, 60% chance of rain on Sunday with thunderstorms. So, I mean, it's good for boats and fish, and that's about it. So, and, yes, and ducks. So, but anyways, so who knows what Loudon's going to bring, but hopefully no rain. And the thing is, I looked at the weather, and so did Bruce, and it looks like the next best day would be like Wednesday. But they're supposed to be heading to Talladega, so I don't see how they would hold the race over on Wednesday and then have to drive on straight through to Talladega. I don't know what they're going to do, but like Bruce said, they're going to have to fit it in before the chase. So we'll see what flies. But anyways, that's about the long and the short of it for racing this week. And I'll do my best to have what I can for you next week, and we'll just have to see what happens for the next couple of weeks. I haven't been able to spend a whole lot of spare time on the computer. I've been staying away from it as much as I could because of the headaches.
Yep.
And so, with the eye strain, the headaches and everything, we'll see what happens. Like I said, I'm doing the best I can.
Yep.
But we'll have some stuff. But
All right.
anyways, that's back to you, Rick.
Thanks, Andrea.
Yeah.
And seeing as how we're pushing the usual time, we're going to shift things around a little bit. And while Greg's getting set up in the bunker with Tarzan, we'll do the Mom's Tattoo musical interlude. This is Soup Bone Throne, I believe, tonight.
Before I let them find out I'm a ball, don't fall where I'm about. Don't think too long on things I've said. If you look close enough between the days, you see how I change. Just 'cause I'm dreaming don't mean can't touch a thing I feel. And when I wake, I'm the same headache that you drugged and tucked in. Outside the future while we're cooped up in the car I'm drinking. I'm living backwards and I'll need some time to let it sink in. Just 'cause I'm dreaming don't mean can't touch a thing I feel. And when I wake, I'm the same headache that you drugged and tucked in. Outside the future while we're cooped up in the bar I'm drinking. I'm living backwards and I'll need some time to let it sink in. Thank you.
All right, Soup Bone Throne. And while that was being shown, Greg got all set up in the bunker. Let's toss it down to Tarzan. How's it going, buddy?
Hey, Rick. How the hell are you tonight, Rick?
All right.
Right. Welcome to the big city of Keene, folks. Right off the top, Rick, I do have a number, but I'm not giving it tonight. It's just my best to all the troops, all their families. Bring them home, the next Mr. President. Bring our troops home.
Well
Enough
said.
of this freaking madness with this holy war we're not supposed to be in. You know, Rick, this week's Stop the Madness finally goes to Governor Lynch passing a House bill not charging us $35 fee anymore for these beautiful plates that we all have, that we all purchased. From now on, it's a $4 fee. Now, Mr. Governor, I want my freaking change. I want my freaking change. I paid 35 bucks. You probably saw me coming and charged me an extra 10 bucks. Knowing me, I probably overpaid. Stop the madness. Thank you, Mr. Governor, for finally passing that House bill and not charging us that $35 fee. Now, Rick, July 3rd, 4th, 5th, and the 6th, Newport, New Hampshire, Vietnam Memorial Moving Wall will be there. Anybody gets a chance to get out to Newport, New Hampshire, make that trip.
All right, brother, we're there.
I'm telling you, I don't know if I can get there, but I sure as hell would like to get there.
Yeah, you can get there, brother. Me and you will go up. We'll take a camera.
Now, this week's Stop the Madness, Rick, is got to go to the rickshaw guy, okay? Now, I happened to share traffic with him a couple of weeks ago for the second time. He's almost caused an accident. You know, I've seen kids on tricycles be more responsible than this cat was, riding around here with his, maybe he's got ADD, who knows? He had his head up in the air, didn't have any worries about who or what might take him out, which is fine and dandy, but we don't need any more accidents in this town than we already have had at the Circle, let alone right in the middle of the city here. I don't know who he is, but please pay more attention. Let's get some regulations for this cat, and let's get this settled. I heard there's like, what, 7 of them rickshaws running around Keene now?
Yeah, there are 7.
You know, it's like are they delivering food or just picking up customers? Do you have any idea?
No, they're just giving rides, yeah.
Yeah, they're just giving rides. Are they charging?
They don't have a set fare, but it's donations and tips.
Oh, donations and tips.
Yeah.
Oh, well, that makes a difference, doesn't it?
Yeah, I guess it does.
Yeah, I guess Uncle Sam can't touch those tips, can he? I guess not. It's not
Well,
really a job, is it? It's just
Technically, if they have to report their tips.
This is true. Maybe it's not a recreational good time for these guys. Maybe they're not getting in shape. Maybe they're just having a good time spending their money on their little rickshaws. I don't know, Rick.
I think it's a great idea, though.
It's not a bad idea, but there's got to be some, I don't know, Rick. He was like in traffic. He's like going to cause an accident.
Yeah, there has to be some kind of regulations or something. They have to prove proficient and responsible, I think. It just can't be just a bunch of yahoos.
Right.
I would think if they're going to take passengers, they should have some type of insurance as well.
At least some type of minimum liabilities, yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. And I would definitely want to have some insurance if I was those guys, let alone the passenger, whoever they're picking up.
Right.
Especially underage. Now, this is a whole discussion. I wonder who's taking this thing on. Do you have any idea of the city?
The city people have been into the city and talked about it.
Yeah.
I know Randy talked about it last week on No Spin with Dave Richards, and they do believe that these guys need taxi licenses or taxi permits because they're public transportation.
Do you have any idea what that cost?
No.
That'd be interesting to find out. You know, we lost a comedian this week. Hats off to you, George Carlin. May you rest in peace on top of your roof. And you know what, Rick? I think I'm out of here.
Thanks, buddy. You have a great week, man. We'll see you next time.
Thank you, Rick. See you later.
Yeah, we did lose a good one, man. But and young too, especially when a lot of people are living so old these days. Then again, you know, maybe that's what you get when you give up all the things that he gave up towards the end of life. You know, when he stopped smoking pot, he stopped doing the drugs and drinking and smoking cigarettes, and he started getting healthy, and then he died because his body couldn't handle all that. All right. Before we go any further, I want to remind everybody, Sunday, July 13th at Gino's Bar and Grill is the fundraiser for Liberty Sage, who needs an open heart surgery. It's from 2 to 6 o'clock at Gino's Bar and Grill. There is an admission fee. They'll have Jonathan Scott and the Blazing Hearts Band as entertainment. And maybe if the crowd's right, maybe I'll tell some of my filthy jokes. If there aren't too many kids hanging around in there. But I'm sure it's going to be a family. Gino will make sure that it's a nice family atmosphere. But he's done a lot up there lately with the addition of a whole entire line of food and that. But it's a good fundraiser, a benefit, you know, to help a child, you know, and that's the least that we can do, you know. So, all right. Let's talk about some other children. Some kids in Gloucester, Mass, who rumor has it, I guess it hasn't been substantiated yet, but there's the rumor that there was a pregnancy pact among 17-year-olds who all wanted to get pregnant, and now they're all pregnant from Gloucester High School. Apparently, there are a lot of girls who think that becoming a mother at that young an age is like really cool and really a great thing. What you don't realize is that on the day that you give birth, your baby's life begins and yours ends for at least 18 years. Unless you freak out and pull one of these drown your kids in the bathtub or thing. You know? Once you have a kid, there's no stepping away. And it's a shame that women haven't thought like that all along, because there are altogether too many mothers that abandon their kids or kill their kids or just let the grandparents raise the kids. Because at 17, I can't be tied down with kids. Well, guess what? When you have a kid, you're tied down. So think about that. And the only thing that's going to lead to a kid is sex. Safe sex or unsafe sex, they both lead to kids. There's nothing that is 100% foolproof. So in order to avoid that argument with your parents about how come you can't go out with your friends and live a normal life just because you got knocked up at 15. No. Don't have sex. That's the only thing that will protect you from losing the part of your life that you should be enjoying the most on your own. The ages between 15 and, say, 25 are the years in your life where you will figure out, hopefully, figure out who you are as a person. And only then will you be ready to bring a child into the world. But you can't bring a child into the world and not even know who you are. And I don't care how smart you think you are, 17 kid, you don't know squat about who you are as a person, as a human being. I don't know. Like I said, I've been watching that Woodstock movie a bunch of times already. I'm going to be an expert on that movie and the way that these people behaved and the things that they thought. And that was one of the big problems in the late 60s was the family unit was starting to dissolve. So you saw a lot of kids, 15, 16, 17, 18, up to mid-20s, that were leaving home and living in replacement family units, little communes, where there was no mother or father, there was just a bunch of kids all living together, taking care of each other. And calling each other family. But, no, children are a huge responsibility. And if you're, 17 years old, don't even think about it. It's stupid. You're going to give up the best part of your life. But
I got news for you. Children are a huge responsibility, and every single one of them is totally different. I had 5 of them, and the 5th one was different from the first. They are all different. So you better be ready to jump through hoops to figure out which kind of personality each one has.
oh yeah,
Because they're real corkers.
yeah. And then you get somebody like me who just goes, well, you had me. I'm living with you forever. Why move out? That's my family. Mom was basically the only family I got now, so I don't want to move away anywhere. Who knows how long she's got? Yeah, I'm a mama's boy, so
I'm sure she's real happy to
so
know that.
what? She is. She's thrilled, I'm sure. All right, what else?
You keep telling her it's either I live at home with you or you're going to a home.
Well, no. She knows that day will never come. She will never be put in a nursing home because I refuse to let a nursing home milk her of my inheritance. Yeah. Damn Skippy. I'm telling you. There's no greed or nothing. I didn't mean that in a bad way, but, when Mom dies, I want what she worked for all her life. She spent her life in order to make my life better. Just as I will spend my life and anything I have at the end of my life, I will pass to my kids. So anyway, what else? Oh, the news yesterday. Here. All right, before it hits like 1,000 degrees in here, let me get this one last really thing that bugged the hell out of me yesterday. Neil Entwistle was sentenced down in Massachusetts for killing his wife and child and then fleeing to England. Now, my mom watched the entire trial. Every day she was on court TV with that trial on. I didn't watch it hardly at all. But when they showed him being sentenced, I had one question for my mother. Did he have that same look on his face throughout the whole trial? And she said, yeah. And I said, His sentence was 2 consecutive life terms without the possibility of parole. No, not 2 consecutive, 2 concurrent. Because the judge said a consecutive life sentence would just be showboating or something similar to that. You know, it would just be extraneous for nothing. But gave him 2 concurrent life sentences without the possibility of parole. And he cannot sell his story to any media. Oh yeah, that part's good, that he can't sell his story to any media. I objected to the 2 concurrent life sentences because, in effect, what the judge said to him is, you killed your wife and kid, now we will support you for the rest of your life. We will feed you, we will house you, we will offer you college programs if you so choose. You know, he's not losing anything. He's lived in England. If you've lived in England, you can live in a jail. I mean, God, is it dark and damp and, you know? Yeah, everybody talks funny over there. My idea is what the judge should have said was, you've killed your wife and child. I sentence you to death. Bailiff, put a bullet between his eyes. Right there on the spot. That would get rid of his little smirky look, I bet. When the bailiff whipped out the gun and pressed it up there between his eyes, I bet his expression would have changed immediately. He probably would have started crying and begging for his life. Because that's what people that are convicted and sentenced to death do. They spend the rest of their life begging and saying they're sorry and appealing and trying to make everybody feel sorry for the fact that now they're going to die. But no, if you kill a mother and her child, somebody's daughter, sister, you don't deserve to be put in jail. If you kill somebody, you deserve to be killed. I'm sorry. That's the way it has to be. But not in America. In America, the criminals are taken better care of than the homeless. And it's sad. Why don't you let, you kill the violent criminals and give a homeless person their jail cell? And feed a homeless person for a month. And clothe him and let him have showers. Don't keep a murderer in jail when there's homeless people that are on the street. And there's going to be more and more of them as this mortgage crunch comes down. Because more and more people are getting thrown out of their houses because they can't pay their bills. Athens just raised all its food prices because the cost of food is going up. So that keeps the company in business. As far as delivery drivers, a lot of people will pay the extra. They'll go, oh, the prices on the food went up. They'll pay extra, and they just won't tip as much. That's what it will come down to, because the price of everything is so high. But if these delivery places raised their delivery rates, people would have a fit. What do you mean it's going to cost $2 to bring my food to me? Well, yeah, it costs $2 to bring your food to you. Because gasoline is $4 a gallon. Tires for even a small car these days are $60 a piece. And if you put a set of tires on every year, that's, $320. If, tune-ups, everything else you need to buy for your car delivery driving hammers a car. There's a ton more maintenance you put into a car if you're using it to deliver stuff with. But, yeah, don't support, support people that need to be supported. Don't support murderers. again, see, I start on one thing and I go way over here, and then tonight I'm doing pretty good. At least I'm bringing it back to where I started. Yeah, and it bugged me. His whole situation and the fact that they've had that case in court for, what, months now? And then, now that he's sentenced to life in prison, there'll be appeal after appeal after appeal after appeal, and the legal system will be tied up indefinitely. Oh, go ahead, Bruce. Oh, all right. That guy, Scott Peterson, was the same way. When he had his trial, his expression never changed in court. I mean, if you're gonna kill your wife, then, I mean, at least be like that Drew Peterson guy. You know, he's out tooling around, he's all happy and like he's tripping. You know, walking around with his own camera, filming the camera guys that are filming him. You know, if you're gonna murder your wife, at least act crazy like Drew Peterson. You know, he'll get off on an insanity plea because the guy's nuts. But you sit in court with just a stone face, no remorse or anything. I mean, this guy can just go, I didn't know I killed her. You know, he could probably get away with something like that. Geez, I didn't realize what I was doing. I was just happy one day and off she went. So, but he still swears up and down she left him for another guy. That's what he says. That's his alibi. She hated me. She ran away. Some women are like that.
Since you mentioned your job, Tom from the Grange had mentioned today while I was waiting to pick up Andrea after work that you might want to pay attention to the new 25-mile-an-hour speed limit signs that are popping up all over town, mostly on West Street and other highly traveled areas. So you don't want to meet the man because you were doing 30 and it's now 25. So just keep your eyes out, bud.
See, that's kind of disturbs me because when I took driver's ed, in the driving book, business districts, I believe, were 35 miles an hour. Residential districts are 25 miles an hour or 30 miles an hour. Those are the rules. And that's what I drive. You know, and then again, it also depends on the time of day, the amount of traffic on the road. You know, I consider myself a professional driver. I hold a Class A commercial driver's license. I can drive basically anything with wheels. I probably drive 1 million miles a year. And it wouldn't surprise me if I had like a dozen times more driving experience than half these officers on the force. You know? But, no. I don't usually get hassled because I pay attention to the road. You know, when I'm driving, I'm driving. I'm not talking on the phone. I'm not eating a sandwich. Well, sometimes I'm eating a sandwich. But, you know, I'm not doing my makeup or brushing my teeth or reading the newspaper or filing my fingernails. I'm driving. It's funny. Thanks, Greg. All right. Let me get to some really fun stuff. Because I heard this the other day, too, and it cracked me up. The first part didn't. The first part I was just happy. Because Denver made a great stride. They decriminalized marijuana in the city of Denver. Up to, now I can't remember if it was up to a half an ounce or up to an ounce. But most places when they decriminalize up to an ounce. But I thought that was very cool. That's a step forward, you know, in the whole aspect of things. And we're going to learn quite a bit next week about the whole pot smoking subculture that, you know, stuff that they were doing in the 60s and talking about in the 60s. But I don't know what group this was. I just kind of caught the tail end of the story on headline news, and you know they don't give much information. Somebody is talking about allowing pot smoking in airports. And I'm assuming instead of drinking. But their whole idea is that if you smoke pot before you fly instead of drinking, then there'll be less trouble on airplanes. Yeah, I mean, you'll still have your out of control 2-year-old autistic kids screaming and yelling and getting kicked off planes, unless, I mean, I saw that story too. Some airline kicked off a 2-year-old autistic boy who was screaming and apparently just not happy. Maybe they should have just gave the kid a joint. Said, here, smoke this. I mean, maybe not a 2-year-old. Just blow him a hit. You know, that would probably be enough for a 2-year-old, not a whole joint. I'm pretty sure he wouldn't need a whole joint. Just give it to the other passengers around him. Yeah, and they probably wouldn't have cared. Let the kid scream, I'm taking a nap. But there are, you know, a couple problems and things to deal with. For one thing, planes would have to carry a hell of a lot more snacks because people that smoke pot eat. We don't know why, they just do. On the good side, never looked at it in those terms, did you, Bruce? One of the good things about getting all hyped up people on an airplane is that you can show the same movie over and over and they don't remember. It's like, wow, wasn't this the movie that played the last time we flew? No, you must have been high, man. But I mean, it's dialogue. You know, it boils right down to the fact that whether it's good or bad, it's dialogue about the situation. And yeah, maybe it would be a lot better to have nothing but stoned people on the airplanes, except the pilots. The pilots, I believe, should be on harder drugs because their job's a lot harder. Anyway, no, it's just kind of weird. And someday, maybe, we'll figure it all out. But until then, oh well. Don't forget, next week is the first of 2 episodes that I'm going to do, and both episodes will get packaged together and shipped to the museum at Woodstock. Because the whole 2 episodes will be about Woodstock. Next week will be just me with film clips and talking about the 60s and a lot of information next week. The following week will be, I have Jim Wilder and Ann Firestone as guests who were actually at Woodstock, and they're going to come and share their experiences or what they remember or don't remember of the show, what got them there. I believe Ann was 15 at the time, and Jim was a Vietnam veteran. So we're going to get, I hope to get some insight as to what the veterans were dealing with when they came back. Up next on No Spin, Gene Shaheen canceled out, so Randy and Chris have State Representative Dan Eaton on, talking about state stuff in the upcoming election. I want to thank my crew, Cheshire TV, Mom's Tattoo, Gemini Screen Print. Till next week. Peace.
Hi, this is Mikey from Orange County Choppers, and you're watching Channel 8.
Thanks, man.